Hello everyone, it's Anna, also known as Book Anna, and today I'm going to be tackling a problem that I have with my reading, and that would be buying too many books. I would not necessarily categorize myself as having this problem. I know a lot of people around me probably think that I have it because I do buy more books than average human can read in a year. I am currently feel a bit overwhelmed with my physical TBR, and I feel like I should somehow make myself pick up more of my physical TBR. I noticed that since the beginning of this year, I started reading a lot of shorter books and a lot of not fantasy books. And my physical TBR is mostly fantasy books, right? So that is a bit of a problem because I have mostly fantasy and classics that are huge, chunky books, and I'm currently not really reading those kind of books. So I decided that I'm going to make a series as it's popular now. So I'm gonna give it a try, and I'm going to try to film every month one vlog in which I'm going to pick a theme, like based on a genre of book, based on some topic of a book, or even just the looks of the cover of the book. I'm going to try to get through 2 to 3 books from my physical TBR. Currently, I really have not read as many fantasy books as I usually do. I do buy still books and I read the books that I buy, but what about all the books that I bought like 3 to 4 years ago that are still on my TBR and I still have not read? Like, I have to read them. This is very convoluted for me. I'm so sorry. I'm trying to find words and today is not a good day to speak English. I have quite a few books. As you can see, this behind me, this little thing, itty bitty thing you can see, is one of my bookshelves, and this bookshelf is consisting. It has, I think, only fantasy books on this bookshelf, and some of them are read, but I feel like most of them aren't, because here I have one of the stacks and I'm not even halfway through the bookshelf. The bookshelves that you saw in my videos that I filmed before I started filming in front of my closet, and they are mostly classic and sci-fi, but also fantasy. I'm going to now go through all the books that I currently own that I have not read. I'm not going to go through all the books because I feel like some of the books I know I'm not gonna ever read, because I have a lot of architecture books that are just like, like history book or something, like history of architecture. I'm not gonna read that, so I'm not gonna count it as my TBR. But I'm going to count through all of them and I'm going to see what percentage of my bookshelves are read. By the end, I'm going to give myself some other percentage that I want to be under. I'm not gonna put myself on a book buying ban. I love buying books. I don't think that I'm gonna stop buying books because I have a lot of like new releases that I want to get. I'm just going to give myself a percentage. So for example, if I currently have like 50% of my bookshelves unread, I'm going to try to get to, I don't know, 35% of my bookshelves unread, which is a bit too much. So I'm not gonna go like 15% below. My goal by the end of this is not to read every single book on my TBR. I don't want that. I think I would find it boring to not have anything on my physical TBR. Book 1 is A Day of Fall Night by Samantha Shannon. The second, the prequel of Priory of the Orange Tree. Book 2, Kings of the Wilds by Nicholas Ames. Book 3 and 4 are The Black Prism first book and the second book by Brent Weeks. Book 5 is Son of Blood and Ruin by Meryl Lairs. Book 6 is Tainted Cup by Robert Jackson Bennett. Book 7 is Feybound. I have a few Tolkien books. First one is The Hobbit, the story of Kullervo, The Two Towers and a Returning of the King, Roverandom. I have this one creation also by him, and it's Pripovijesti iz opasnih predjela, which I don't know how I would translate. The last two from this stack are One Dark Window and Two Twisted Crowns by Rachel Gillick. I'm like trying to pick smaller stacks from my bookshelf so they don't just all topple down. Hyperion by Dan Simmons, and also The Fall of Hyperion. City of Saints and Madmen by Jeff Wandermeer. The Blade Itself by Joe Abercrombie. A Game of Thrones by George R. R. Martin. Ice Dragon or Leden is My also by George R. R. Martin. Queen of Arrows by Mercedes Lackey. The Slow Regard of Silent Things by Patrick Rothfuss. I always forget to look at the author. A Darker Shade of Magic by the E. Schwab. Sunland Ascends by Josiah Barcroft. Ruthless Vows by Rebecca Ross. Iron Widow. Then I have She Who Became the Sun by Shelley Parker Chan. Then I have Ecstasia by Claire Legrand. And the last stack of books that I have from this shelf is The Shadow of the God and The Hunger of the God. And 4 books by Brandon Sanderson. Edge Dancer, Part 1 of Oathbringer, Yumi and the Nightmare Painter, The Sunlit Man. I'm going to now go count all the books that I currently said, and I will tell you the number, and then we're going to go on my other shelf. That bookshelf had 36 unread books. Now to my other bookshelf that is also mostly fantasy and sci-fi. The stack, it's going to fall off, so it's going to fall so bad. The first one is Daughter of the Moon Goddess by Sue Lynn Tan. The next one is The Jasmine Throne by Tasha Suri. Girl Serpent Thorn Bitter. Vespertine by Margaret Rogerson. Chain of Gold by Cassandra Clare. God Killer by Hannah Canner. House of Flame and Shadow by Sarah J. Maas. That book is too big. It's too big. Iron Gold by Pierce Brown. This is the 4th in Red Rising series. The Grey Twin by Alan Moore. This is the book that I bought recently. It was on my anticipated books for winter/autumn of 2024, and I just got to it, and I'm very happy. City of Last Chances by Adrian Tchaikovsky. Dune by Frank Herbert. And I have Neuromancer by Liam Gibson, which I still have not read, but I'm going to try again. Moving on to my still fantasy, but then going into classics. Now I don't know how, again, this is translated, this is in Croatian, but it's like a trilogy by Carlo Rui Zafon. I love saying his name, and I'm not even sure that I'm saying it properly, but yeah, it's like a folk trilogy, I don't know. Then I have The Walls of Eternity, The Watcher in the Shadow, also by Carlo Rui Zafon. Elizabeth of York, The Last White Rose by Alison Weir. 2 editions of Dorian Gray, The Picture of Dorian Gray. Slaughterhouse 5, The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. War and Peace, it's translated in Rat and Ymir. It comes into 2 different books. Anna Karenina, Brother Karamazov. How is My Story Margarita translated in English? Also, I'm not sure. Maybe like Master and Margarita also. The Name of the Rose by Umberto Eco. Glambayevi by Miroslav Krleža. Susanna Clark Piranesi. And now for my biggest shelf, which I feel like has the most read books because I kind of put them there to look pretty. Doors of Perception, Parzival, Meditations, Mautherer and Poems, The Phantom of the Opera, Don Quixote, Le Morte d'Arthur. Then I have Shakespeare's play. I have 4 of them that are unread. A Midsummer's Night Dream, which I already read, but I have to reread it, so I'm going to put it as not read. The Taming of the Shrew, Antony and Cleopatra, Much Ado About Nothing. Decameron, Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice, Les Miserables, Tales of Horror by Lovecraft. Now we have some manga. I have 1 volume of Dead Man Wonderland, 4 volumes of Tokyo Ghoul, 2 volumes of Chainsaw Man, 1 Junji Ito Lovesick short story collection, Death Note, a 2nd volume. The first one I read, Moriarty, the Patriot, 1st volume. I'm not sure, but it's Heaven's Official Blessing. Then I have Mystery Lights by Lena Valencia, Our Share of Night by Mariana Enriquez, and Butcher by Joyce Carol Oates. Kraja Arhitekture by Boris Popovic. This is a book that has 3D glasses with it, so I don't know what it's about, but I thought it could be interesting. Urania by Luka Bekavac. Ucha by Ivana Gilas. This is one that my friend gave me. It's from Prague, and it's called The Prague Golem, Jewish Stories of the Ghetto, Vladimir Vysotsky's Poems, My Horizon. Then I have this sci-fi book that my friend gave me also. I do not know what it is. It's like speculative fiction collection of Futura Crni, Shakespeare of Dante, Sapiens Brief History of Humankind, Seksi smrt u japanskoj kulturi, The Kennedy Tapes, The Great Arizona Orphan Abduction. And the last books that I have are Next to My Bed, Harrow the Ninth, Steppenwolf, Build Your House Around My Body, the complete trilogy of, actually the complete chronicles of Anna Rice, The Cruel Prince, The Shadow Cabinet, Magnolia Park's first book, and Magnolia Park's Into the Dark, which is, I think, fifth book. Why I bought it? Because I don't want to not own these pretty covers of these books. The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires by Grady Hendrix. The Hunting Moon, Spear Cuts Through Water, Evocations, Vilest Things, The Poppy War, The Adventures of Amina al-Sirafi, A Tempest of Tea, The Last Supper, The Scarlet Letter, Divine Rivals, so I have not read even the first one, and 6 Crimson Canes. The book that I just bought and still have not read is Annihilation by Jeff Vandermeer. There are also 4 books that I'm currently in the middle of. 3 of them are certainly going to be read by the end of the month, but the 4th one is not going to be read by the end of the month. That would be Songs of Dead Dreamers and Grimscribe, Frankenstein in Baghdad, Count of Monte Cristo, which it will take me some time to read this one, and Dracula by Bram Stoker. So I have total 130 unread books, which is a lot. I currently own about 380 books, so let's see what percentage of them are read. There are 33% books that are unread on my shelves, which I feel is a bit too small of a number. I feel like there are a bit more, but there are like a lot of there are a lot of middle grade books that I didn't put here because I'm not going to count them in my read shelves. Mostly I have them because of nostalgia, but I do not think that I will some of them probably ever read. I feel like I forgot some books, I don't know, but let's circle it on 35%. Okay, so by the end of the year, I would love to be around 25%. I think 25% is quite a good percentage of books. As I'm going to buy more books, I'm going to try read them before I buy them physically. I'm going to try to read them in ebook form and then buy them, so I don't just have stacks of unread books that I bought. I'm alright with it. I'm alright with having this many unread books. This month I'm going to try to do one video in which I'm going to choose a topic and I'm going to, based on that topic, find 2 to 3 books from my physical TBR. I'm going to try to read them by the end of the month. That's what I'm going to try to do every month, and besides that I'm just going to read other books that I want to from my TBR. That was a long video and I'm kind of tired because I had to pull out all the books and then put them back in, and it was all over the place for me filming this, and my bed is a mess because it's full of books. I thought it's going to be a lot more. I thought that I have around 150 unread books, but that's because all the books that I own I have in a table, and there are also, my architectural, my encyclopedias, my history books, like the books that you do not read are also in there. So when I look through that table, how many of the books are unread, it looks like a lot more. I hope it wasn't too boring for you to go with me through my stacks of unread books and through my stats of how many books are everywhere. And I now have to put them all back. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!